The Nasdaq up a fraction. Now, helping stocks was a second read on third quarter U.S. economic growth. It was higher than previously reported, showing growth of more than 2% during the summer months. After the bell, an earnings miss from computer giant Hewlett-Packard on another drop in PC sales. Servers and networking gear sales were higher. The S&P Ratings Agency cutting its outlook on Yahoo, and consumer confidence falling hard this month to the lowest level in more than a year on worries about jobs. Tom Busby, CNBC.
There are no guarantees in love, but there is a guarantee from EH Plus by eHarmony, our new personal matchmaking service. At EH Plus, your own personal matchmaker gets to know you so well, we can guarantee introductions that will be satisfying and exciting. EH Plus goes far beyond regular online dating sites, and that's a guarantee. Visit us at ehplus.com/love or call 1-855-930-LOVE.
I love traffic. Gridlock gets me giddy because the 2-week SiriusXM free listening event is on now, beaming me a whole lot of happy. Rock happy, sports happy, pop talk, comedy, and news happy. Tune in now to leave road rage in the dust and get all traffic happy.
The SiriusXM free listening event now through December 2nd. Hit the SAT button on your inactive satellite radio to listen now. Learn more at SiriusXM.com/listen free. SiriusXM, road happy. Not available on select radios.
The Redlands Passenger Rail Project is going to happen. Get the information expressed on this story and more in the Redlands City News. Catch local stories posted online daily. The Redlands City News, online at redlandscitynews.com or in print at locations near you.
From the Kcaa Weather Center, I'm Keith Langlots. For tonight, a good chance of showers, the low 47. Daytime Wednesday, a slight chance of showers, becoming mostly sunny, high 60. Wednesday night, another slight chance of showers, the low 40. Thanksgiving, sunny and a high 59. Thanksgiving night, becoming mostly cloudy, the low again 40. Friday, sunny and a high 57. Friday night, slight chance of showers, the low 42. Saturday, we go into the holiday weekend, slight chance of showers, high 57. That's your weather forecast for this hour. From the station that leaves no listener behind, NBC News Radio, AM 1050 Kcaa.
As the owner of my business, I wear a lot of hats. I'm accounting, sales, and so much more. But I don't know marketing.
Let Dex Media be your marketing department. Our team can create a digital plan for you with everything from search to social. Contact Dex Media, that's DEX Media, to get found, get chosen, and get talked about.
Whoa, that's a job for cleanup, which would be me.
Call 844-230-3436 or visit dexmedia.com today.
Like to spend a few days in another world? Then write this down. Golden Bear Cottages, Big Bear Lake. Now, listen, this is not some corporate-owned operation. It's family-owned and operated by some real nice people. Unique? Oh, you bet. Golden Bear Cottages features 28 one-of-a-kind cabins on a 5-acre historic site. Great for families, couples, and groups. And cabins are available with 1 to 7 bedrooms. Golden Bear Cottages is just a stone's throw from Big Bear Lake and super close to 3 great ski areas. Now, I could go on all day about Golden Bear Cottages in Big Bear, but to see everything, just go to goldenbear.net. Again, goldenbear.net. Golden Bear Cottages in Big Bear. Clean, comfortable, and affordable. Check them out. goldenbear.net.
This is 1050 AM, KCAA Loma Linda, and 106.5 FM, Yucaipa. Welcome to Safe Money Talk with Rick Lewag. Rick is a safe money specialist, primarily serving Southern California, but he's sought after nationally for his expertise in helping people secure their retirements. Mr. Lewag is a licensed insurance professional in the state of California and specializes in working with business owners, people who are near retirement, or those who have already retired with wealth management, income planning, and asset protection strategies. And now, here to talk to you about safe money and retirement, your host, Rick Lewag.
Hello again and welcome to Safe Money Talk. I'm your host, Rick Lewag, coming live out of the studios here at KCAA Radio in beautiful San Bernardino. This is the show where you're going to get the straight talk about all the threats to your retirement savings, and if you're a business owner, your business, that you won't hear from your CPA, your broker, your tax attorney, or especially not your group health insurance agent. It's a couple days here before Thanksgiving, and we've got a lot to cover. I do have a special guest with me tonight, okay? It's kind of fun. My soon-to-be 15-year-old daughter, Zoe, is in the studio, kind of observing, I guess she's like an intern, and she's going to see how this show is engineered and produced. And say hello, Zoe. Say hello to everybody.
Hello.
What did you went to the movies today, didn't you?
I did.
And what did you happen to see?
I watched The Wolf of Wall Street.
The Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio. And wasn't that about a financial guy what did he do?
He conned people into bad deals.
Uh-oh, yes, that's right. Because Zoe asked me if that's what I did. No, that's not what your dad does. We try to help people protect their money. And so Zoe wanted to come into the studio tonight and see how we produce the radio show and see what we talk about. So welcome, Zoe. If you want to see Dad and Zoe live, go to www.kcaaradio.com, and you can Ustream and see us here in the studio, just having fun and talking to our audience. Tonight, if you'd like to ask me any questions or make any comments on what we talk about during the show, if you're local, feel free to call in at 909-888-5222. Or if you're outside of the Inland Empire, outside of the 909 area code, feel free to call toll-free at 888-909-1050. And this week, what I want to talk about is some feedback and questions that I get while I'm out and about doing my job. When I'm speaking to groups, when I'm talking to clients, when I'm just out and about talking to seniors and business owners, some of the questions and comments that I've been getting lately and some of the concerns. And I want to talk about especially a good friend of mine that I had just talked to the other day, Randy. And Randy is close to retirement. He's in his early 60s, and he manages his own portfolio. And we were talking about what we foresaw in the future. And Randy made a comment that I hear a lot. He said, Rick, I completely agree that the financial markets are volatile, that they're frightening to some degree. I'm mostly invested in dividend stocks. That's Randy talking. But the big question I have is I don't know where else to put my money. Everything is either CDs are paying no interest. I don't know where else to put my money other than the stock market. And that's a dilemma that I see a lot. I see a lot of seniors and business owners having in their mind few choices to place and invest their retirement savings to get any decent rates of return. And what they're finding is that to get those rates of return that they're looking for, they're exposing their money to an awful lot of risk. And in fact, in today's market, the risk versus reward is not all that great anymore. It's not like the days of the happy, wild 90s where the risk versus reward was very high. The risk versus reward today in the stock market is not high. It's not very good at all. So where do people today put their retirement savings to protect them, to preserve it, to make sure that it lasts for their entire lifetime? That's the biggest question that I get from seniors today is, Rick, how do I make sure that I don't run out of money before my life does? The second biggest question I get asked is from business owners. Business owners' biggest question today is not how to retire comfortably. It's not how to invest their money. The biggest question I get from business owners today is, Rick, how do I survive this Obamacare thing? I thought it was going to impact me, but I had no idea it was going to impact me to this degree. So we talk about that on each and every show. I've written a couple books about the subject, and that's exactly what I talk about whenever I'm asked to speak on other shows or whenever I speak to live audiences, is what to do today if you're a senior or you're a business owner to keep your money safe, but to also ensure that it lasts the remainder of your life. A lot of folks out there that are listening are right now retired on some type of lifetime pension, either from a municipality or a company. And you might be thinking, well, I'm on a lifetime pension. I'm not worried about that. Well, you probably need to rethink that, especially if it's a corporate pension. In 2014, the U.S. government passed a law that allowed corporate pensions that felt that they were not going to be able to meet their obligations within the next 10 years to decrease the pensions of not only existing pensioners, but future pensioners as well. And if you want to learn more about that, there's a website that you can go to that I subscribe to. It's free, but it's a wealth of information on that website called Pension Tsunami or tsunamipension.com. And it will tell you the status of many corporate pensions and public pensions, especially state and federal and municipal government pensions. So if you're planning on retiring on a corporate or a municipal or a state pension, you might want to visit that website and see what kind of condition your pension is. What we do talk about in almost every single show is some of the biggest mistakes we see people making, both seniors and business owners. And right now, the biggest mistake that I see people making out there with their money is exposing it to unnecessary risk because of several reasons. Number one, primarily they don't feel they've got enough to retire on. That's the biggest concern that most seniors that I talk to that do have their retirement savings exposed to risk. Their number one reason is this: I don't think I have enough to retire on, Rick, so I have to be a little bit more aggressive with where my money's at. The second reason that I find that seniors have their retirement savings exposed to undue risk is they just don't know any better. Their 401k was invested into a growth stock mutual fund. It did quite well while they were working. They retired and just rolled it over from a 401k into another mutual fund in their IRA, and they didn't know any better. Either they got bad advice or they just didn't know what to do, so they just rolled it over and exposed it to risk. Here's the problem with that. Here's the biggest dilemma about that, is that most seniors don't realize that there are three phases of wealth accumulation and distribution. There's three phases of wealth. And those three phases are, number one, the accumulation stage, number two, the distribution stage, and number three, the transfer stage. The first stage is that period in our life that stage is the longest period of our life, typically. Typically, it goes from age 20 or 25 on to age 65 or retirement. Those are the years in which we are accumulating our wealth. We're accumulating what we are going to eventually retire on if we get to retire. And in that stage, there's a lot of things working for you. The first is time, of course. Time is on your side. The second thing that's working for you is that you are earning money at your job, contributing to your retirement savings or investing your money. So you have a reliable source of income, you have time on your side, and the third thing you have working for you in your favor in the accumulation stage is you're not taking any money out of your retirement savings. You're hopefully not having to access your investments to pay for an emergency or to live off of. So in the accumulation stage, you can be more aggressive, you can look for bigger and better opportunities, you can take more risks because you have those three things working in your favor. However, once you retire, everything changes. However, most people are not advised in that direction. Nobody sits them down and says, okay, you're done accumulating. Now you still want to have some growth. You still want to do accumulate. But right now that you've retired, the number one goal and what's paramount with your money is preservation. The second phase of your wealth stage is the distribution stage. This is where you take what you've accumulated, either your investments or your 401k or your income property or whatever you have, and you design your portfolio to, number one, protect it to make sure it doesn't go backwards, and number two, how to distribute it to you in a prudent, consistent, reliable way so you don't burn through it. So that is a phase in people's life when they need a lot of good advice because you're not working, you're not contributing to your retirement savings anymore, and you're starting to take money out of it. At that point, in your distribution stage, which some of you might be in now, you're not working anymore, you've got a nest egg, you're living off of it. Here's the thing that most people don't ever think of. On the golf course, I'm a big golfer, okay? So there's an old saying in golf, and it proves true in wind conditions, that in wind, any bad shot is magnified by that wind. Those of you that are out there that are golfers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When it's windy and you hit a slice or you hit a hook, it's just magnified because of the elements are impacting more effect on the golf ball. When you're retired, any changes, any negative effect on your retirement savings is magnified. Any losses in your 401k, any losses in your IRA, any loss in value to your real estate, any losses are magnified like the wind magnifies a bad golf shot. Here's why. Those three things that were working in your favor during your accumulation stage, you don't have them anymore. Time is no longer working on your side. You still may have a lot of years of retirement, but you don't have a lot of years to make up losses. Number two, you're not earning any more money, so you're not contributing to that retirement package anymore. You're not putting any money in. And number three, you're probably taking money out, either to supplement your pension, to live off of, or if you're 70 and a half, you have to take it out in your required minimum distributions, which are on average 3 to 4%. So your attitude, your strategy, the tools, the products, the advice that you need to get, and the things that you need to do in that second stage of your wealth is much different than when you were in your accumulation stage. Warren Buffett has a very famous saying, if you can't make money, just make sure you don't lose it. And it's not because he's Simon Legree. It's not because he's Ebenezer Scrooge. He doesn't like to lose money because he knows this, that it is harder to make up losses than it is to make up no losses. In other words, it's much harder if you lose 10% to regain that 10% to get back where you were. Warren Buffett knows if you lose 20% in your portfolio, you have to earn almost 25% to get back to where you were before you lost the 20%. The greater the gain, the greater net increase you have to get. At a 50% loss, you have to realize almost a 70% return to get back to where you were before you lost the 50%. So everything is magnified at that point when you're retired. I hear this all the time. All the time. I hear, Rick, I'm not that worried because in 2008, when everything went to heck and I lost 30 or almost 40% or more in my portfolio, within 6 years it came back just fine. And I have to tell that person, I know that, of course, because you were still in the accumulation stage. You were 60 years old. You were still working. Just imagine a bucket. Just imagine this bucket of water, okay? That bucket of water, even though you poured out 40% of it, you kept putting water back in the top over the next 6 years, and you weren't taking any out. So when the market did rebound and came back, you could recoup your losses. But now you're not working anymore. So imagine that same bucket, you poke 2 holes in the bottom. One is your income, the other one's your RMDs. Then you pour out 40% of the water, and you're not putting any more in the top. It's going to be impossible for you to recoup those losses. And that's what we try to educate seniors on. Now that you're retired, you're in a completely different phase. You're not thinking in terms of accumulation. You're not thinking in terms of how much gain I can get. Your number one priority should be, How do I preserve this? How do I preserve it and prolong it? Then that carries you to the third, which is the shortest stage of wealth accumulation, or your wealth stages, which is transference. How to transfer what's the remainder of your estate to your heirs after you pass away. And so in those three phases, you need to get different advice, use different products, use different strategies. And most people that I talk to are using the same strategies that they've used in the same products in their second and third, their distribution and their transference phase, as they did when they were accumulating the money. And that's why they are going to be disappointed. And that's why they're going to get slaughtered in this next upcoming stock market crash whenever it occurs. In the next segment, I want to talk a little bit more to business owners, but right now we're going to take a break, Carlos, and we're going to pick back up with business owners, Carlos, when we come back. You're listening to Safe Money Talk with Rick Lewag. This is Kcaa 1050 AM, and now we're on 106.5 FM. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Thanks for joining.
Never before has there been a piece of legislation that impacts so many Americans in so many ways as the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. This ponderous bill is now the law of the land, yet many of us do not yet fully understand how it impacts our health care, our finances, even our retirement. It's hard to get past all the political rhetoric and grandstanding politicians and learn the truth about Obamacare. That's why Rick Lewag wants to offer you his free Obamacare Survival Kit. This kit contains information you need right now to protect your business and retirement from the effects of Obamacare. There are no strings attached, and you have everything to gain and nothing to lose by calling Rick's toll-free number right now and reserving your copy. That's 1-800-284-3887. Your survival kit is waiting for you now at 1-800-284-3887. That's 1-800-284-3887.
Are you thirsty for books that will fill your soul with wisdom, joy, and inspiration? Then take a refreshing and nourishing drink at Alice's Quiet Mind Bookstore, located in the heart of the Agape International Spiritual Center in Culver City, which incidentally was recently featured on The Today Show. From aromatic soy candles to best-selling authors like Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith and a whole host of other visionaries, Alice's Quiet Mind Bookstore has everything to soothe your body, spirit, and soul. For more info and directions, visit agapelive.com today.
You're listening to KCAA Loma Linda at 106.5 FM, K293CF Moreno Valley.
Welcome back to Safe Money Talk with your host, Rick Lewag. Before the break, we were talking about the three stages of wealth and the biggest mistake that I've been seeing seniors make over the last few years with their retirement savings and why. And I want to talk a little bit now about what your choices are. You know, now that I've kind of identified some of these landmines out there. Well, Rick, I understand that now. Okay, so instead of me being in this growth stock mutual fund, what should I do? Because where am I going to find gains? Where am I going to find the three things that I need, which is protection, accumulation, and liquidity? That's what most seniors should be looking at. What we talk about when we sit down with clients is we talk about the formula and the things that you should really focus on with your money and how to protect it. Because I really don't give advice on investment type money. And the reason is because back in the 80s, when I was a fledgling stockbroker, I had worked through one of the biggest crashes, one-day crashes in the history of the stock market, and back in the late 80s. And I survived and worked through another stock market crash in the early 90s. And I was a stockbroker talking about accumulation, growth. That was built into us. That was in our DNA. Talk about growth. Talk about, don't talk much about the risk. Talk about how much money these people can be making with their investments. And what happened to me in the late 80s is I realized that I didn't have the stomach for losses. Much like a doctor finds out, now that he's a full-fledged practicing MD, now that he's a doctor and he finds out he doesn't have the stomach for death, he doesn't have the stomach for blood, he doesn't have the stomach to or the desire or the physical or mental makeup to go out and tell loved ones that their family member has passed away or has a terminal illness. I didn't have the stomach for losses. I didn't like clients calling me screaming because they had lost money. So I changed my practice from an accumulation, from a stockbroker advisor talking about mutual funds and private placements and all the things that brokers talk about so you could gain money. And we changed to more of a preservation. How do we protect it? How do we avoid these catastrophic losses in these inevitable declines? And one of the things that we do is when we sit down and talk to people about how to protect their money is we talk about the formula. What are the first couple things that you want to look at? Number one, right off the bat, is, and this is what I find that successful investors do. Folks that I know that have net worths of millions of dollars, tens of millions, and some even hundreds of millions of dollars. One of the common denominators I find in successful, wealthy individuals is one of the very first and most important things they do with their money is they eliminate or minimize risk. That's the very first thing. Back in the early 2000s, I was involved with a project here in the Inland Empire. That was a big novel project. It had a lot of the movers and shakers around. We were building towers, and I was able to meet an awful lot of successful, very, very influential people in Southern California. And I was fortunate enough to spend some time and meet a legitimate billionaire, okay? And I won't tell you his name, but he's works out of Los Angeles, very well known. And he started talking to me about his philosophy towards money and wealth. And he said, Rick, at my point in my life, at my stage in my life, I don't have to assume any risk. I do not take on any risk. I only invest in things that I either can determine the outcome or I can influence the outcome, and it's predictable. I do not like, or have I ever liked, risk. From that billionaire on down to multimillionaires that I'd met, that was the common denominator. Risk avoidance. That was number one. The second thing that I found common among successful investors and successful business people is they maximized their gain potential. So most people that I meet and talk to, they have those two concepts backwards. They're looking to maximize their gain potential, and eliminating or minimizing risk is second. Well, the folks that have held on to their money and succeed typically have done better in bad times than good. They'll tell you, I made more money and I made a bulk of my fortune when blood was running in the streets because I found deals and I kept my head. So my advice is to not get those two confused. Eliminate or minimize risk would go first. That's your number one priority, especially if you're in your second wealth stage or distribution stage. Maximize gain potential was the second thing. The third thing that I found that was common amongst every successful investor and business person I knew is they focused on tax avoidance. Taxes and inflation are the unseen cancer eating away your money. Educated financial people, people that are successful with their investments in their business, they avoid taxes. Now, they do not, there's a big difference between tax avoidance and tax, just what's the word I'm thinking of is becoming a tax cheat, okay? They pay taxes. They avoid legally as many taxes as they can. So eliminate, manage risk is number one. Second is they maximize their gain potential. Third, tax avoidance and inflation avoidance. And then the third thing that successful investors do and business people is they ensure that they can prolong and preserve their income streams. Income determines your ability to retire. That's it. Retirement is strictly a function of cash flow. of income. So what do you use to accomplish those 4 things? Eliminate or manage risk, maximize gain potential, but at the same time avoid as many taxes as you can, so decrease your tax liability, and then ensure that you have a lifetime income. Well, there are a couple products, financial products, that will help you with that solution. First and foremost, I'd recommend a fixed indexed annuity. An annuity, and I know people out there all the time say, oh my God, not one of those. I hear about those all the time. But let me ask you something. If I'm sitting down talking to you and you're listening to me speak to a group, and I'm going to describe a product to you, I'm going to describe a financial product to you, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to explain to you what the features and benefits are. First, I'm going to tell you, hey, here's somewhere where you can put your money and your principal is absolutely guaranteed. You're not going to lose a single dime. I don't care if the global financial markets collapse. I don't care if the dollar erodes and becomes the Amero or the peso. It doesn't matter. Your principal is guaranteed and backed by the assets of this insurance company or this company. I'm not going to say insurance company. First and foremost, your principal is locked in. So no matter what happens in the world, your principal is locked in. Number 2, if the stock market, gold, or real estate increase, you can participate in those gains. So if any one of those 3, whichever one you choose, goes up in value, you'll make money. However, if any one of those 3 that you happen to be affiliated or linked to, your interest, go down, you're not going to lose a single dime. Yes, you heard me correctly. Yes, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have preservation of principal, so it's not going to go up or down. If there's a gain in the stock market, you're going to be able to earn money. You're going to participate in that gain. But guess what? If the roller coaster dips and goes down, you won't lose a single dime. Not a single dime. And the third thing I want to explain to you is you will never run out of money. At any time, you can take that account and convert it to a lifetime income that either you or you and your spouse can never outlive. I don't care if you live as long as Methuselah, 900 years. First, your principal's guaranteed. It's not going anywhere. Secondly, if the market, gold, or real estate goes up, you make money. And if it goes down, you don't lose a dime. And thirdly, you can convert it to a lifetime income that never, ever, ever runs out. Tell me what's wrong with that. Tell me what's wrong with that product. Most of the time, people say, oh, I love that. Well, it happens to be an indexed annuity. I don't want one of those. I heard Susie Ormond talk about annuities. Well, was Susie Ormond talking about a variable annuity or an indexed annuity? I don't know. It's just an annuity. Well, let me tell you the difference. First of all, what I've just described is what's called a fixed indexed annuity. Unlike its evil twin, the variable annuity, which a variable annuity is nothing more than a mutual fund, which you're invested in now, wrapped up in an annuity so you can protect your money from taxes. Now, does your mutual fund go up and down in value? Yes. Does your mutual fund guarantee your principal? Of course not. Can your mutual fund be converted to a lifetime income that you can never outlive, regardless of how long you live, and you'll never run out of money? No, of course not. Okay. So you'd rather have that puts your money at risk. You can lose it. You can't have a lifetime income than you would over here that preserves it, just because Susie Ormond called it something different. Well, that's what we're confronted with each and every day. And that's what we do, is we educate people on these. It's not really a product. Look at it as a solution. The other product that is hugely sought out now, and it will be in more demand in the coming years, is a life insurance policy that has accelerated death benefits. I've been on the phone the past 2 days, and I talk about these on every single show, but I'm going to pound on it now because I've realized that sheep get slaughtered, especially in these markets. So I want to talk about what people have been asking me about this life insurance with living benefits. I had a gentleman just the other day call me and say, I know I'm going to need some kind of long-term care coverage, but I just don't know which one to buy. I don't know when to get it. I don't know how to get it. And I said, look, I know you're concerned about long-term care. He said, my wife, Alzheimer's runs in her family. So I'm afraid that eventually she's going to probably be confined to a nursing home with Alzheimer's. And I'm just afraid it's going to burn through our cash. So I want to get long-term care. I said, I know what the statistics are. The statistics say this, that 1 out of 2 people in the United States are going to spend some time in a nursing home, right? Right. Nursing homes, by the time you and I turn 85, are going to be probably $20,000 a month if we can get in one. And I know those statistics, but I don't have long-term care insurance. And he looked at me like I was a lung cancer doctor that smoked cigarettes. Are you crazy? And I said, let me tell you why. Hang on. I haven't purchased long-term care, and I know all the statistics, and I know all the products. Here's why. Number one, it could be a use it or lose it proposition, meaning it's just like car insurance. I may never ever use it, ever. And I may never use as much as I put in. Now, that wasn't enough of a reason to deter me from needing long-term care coverage. I'm not advocating you don't have long-term care coverage. I'm just advocating you don't use a long-term care product to do it. Here's why. My first reason is I didn't know if I was ever going to use it. So I could pay for something I would never use. Secondly, as you well know out there, long-term premiums have been going up, sometimes each and every year, but at least every 2 or 3 years. And if you're a senior and you've had one for a while, call me if your long-term care insurance plan has never gone up, okay? And it's going to continue to go up. So that cost is out of control. You don't even know what you might be paying in 5 or 10 years. But neither one of those reasons were enough to deter me from not wanting to seek out a long-term care coverage. It was the third reason why I never purchased and never will buy a long-term care policy. I found something better. And I'll tell you what it is. If you would have told me in 2007 that in 2015 the very best medical benefit would be found in a life insurance policy instead of a health insurance policy, I would have sent you to the nut house. But that's exactly what's happened in those 8 years. As a result of Obamacare, here's what's happened. Shrinking medical networks. So the Obamacare plans, you have less doctors and hospitals you can go see, and that's going to get worse. If you're a senior on Medicare, you ought to be losing sleep over this Obamacare stuff, because in 5 to 10 years, having Medicare is going to be just the same as having Medi-Cal or Medicaid if you're in the other parts of the country. And it's not because you're losing benefits. It's because the networks are shrinking. Another thing you should be considerate of is Alzheimer's. The average, they're estimating now, if you're diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it could be a total of $250,000 to $300,000 out of pocket, your care before you pass away. There's no other product in the United States that covers you for Alzheimer's like this one particular product does. And here's what this product is. It's called life insurance with living benefits. They've been around for a while, but they haven't ever been as popular as they are today as a result of Obamacare. And here's how it works in a nutshell. It's real easy. You know how most traditional life insurance policies have a death benefit? So when you die, your family gets the death benefit, right? So what happens is you buy a life insurance policy for $100,000, $200,000. You make premiums on it. Sometimes it's a term plan, so it runs out after a period of time. And the others are permanent, like universal life, that you have cash value like a savings account. Well, this new one, let me tell you what it allows you to do. It allows you to take the death benefit without dying. In the event, and only in the event, that you're diagnosed with an illness that's going to kill you within 2 years, you have a critical illness diagnosis or event like a heart attack, stroke, kidney disease, blindness, but more importantly, if you're diagnosed with a cognitive impairment like Alzheimer's disease, now you don't have to die to get that death benefit. Let's say you've got $250,000, $300,000 in your death benefit and you're diagnosed with Alzheimer's, or you're confined and admitted to a nursing home. You can trigger that acceleration of that death benefit comes to you tax-free, and you can use that for anything you want to. So you don't have to burn through your retirement savings to survive Alzheimer's, or to go through Alzheimer's, because you're not going to survive it. You don't have to get a reverse mortgage. You don't have to transfer your assets so you can qualify for Medi-Cal. You don't have to do any of that. And this is just a traditional life insurance plan. So it functions just like any other life insurance. But here's the beautiful thing about this is, let me give you an example. You have a $300,000 death benefit. You're diagnosed with a terminal illness is going to kill you in 2 years. You accelerate that death benefit, and you either use medical tourism and go somewhere else to get other treatment, or you pay off your bills. You do whatever you want to with that. The remainder of what you don't spend stays in your estate. It's even more impactful in a long-term care solution. Let me give you an example about a long-term care policy. You get admitted to a nursing home. Your long-term care coverage kicks in, and after 90 days or 4 months, you pass away. Well, all of the premiums you paid in there are lost. And you're probably thinking, or the long-term care agent that's listening to me right now is saying, well, so what? That's what long-term care insurance is all about. Well, let me explain a better alternative that protects your money and protects your family's assets. I have $300,000 death benefit. I'm admitted to a nursing home. I'm in there at $10,000 or $15,000 a month for 4 months. 4 months times $15,000 is $60,000. That $300,000 death benefit, I could accelerate at about $280,000. $280,000 minus the $60,000, my estate, my children, my wife keeps the remaining $220,000. Unlike any other policy. That is a solution to long-term care. I call it the Swiss Army knife of financial products. I've talked about it on almost every single show, and it's interesting because when I say life insurance, everybody does what you normally would do, clam up. But when I tell them how this one policy works, let me tell you what seniors tell me. How quickly can I get it, and what in the world do I do if I can't qualify? And we'll talk about that after the break. Carlos, we're going to take a quick break now. You're listening to KCAA 1050 AM. This is Safe Money Talk with Rick Lewag right before Thanksgiving. We'll be right back.
Attention seniors on Medicare, pre-retirees, and business owners. If you're thinking that Obamacare won't affect you, think again. The more you learn about Obamacare, the more you will discover that everyone is affected by this legislation, seniors and business owners most of all. Take steps now to safeguard yourself, your family, your business, and your retirement income from the ravages of Obamacare. Call Rick Lewag's toll-free number 1-800-284-3887, and Rick will rush you a complimentary copy of his popular Obamacare Survival Kit. This kit will help you discover ways you can lessen the impact of Obamacare on you, your loved ones, and your business. Obamacare is here, and it could very well threaten everything for which you have worked so hard. So, call 1-800-284-3887. Again, that's 1-800-284-3887 to get your Obamacare Survival Kit today. It's absolutely free.
As the owner of my business, I wear a lot of hats. I'm accounting, sales, and so much more. But I don't know marketing.
Let Dex Media be your marketing department. Our team can create a digital plan for you with everything from search to social. Contact Dex Media, that's DEX Media, to get found, get chosen, and get talked about.
Whoa, that's a job for cleanup, which would be me.
Call 844-230-3436 or visit dexmedia.com today.
This is 1050 AM KCAA Loma Linda and 106.5 FM Yucaipa.
Welcome back. Safe Money Talk with Rick Lewag, KCAA 1050 AM. Before the break, we're talking about some of the biggest mistakes that we see seniors and business owners making with their retirement savings. Just this morning, I was talking to a marketing specialist, a marketing consultant. We're trying to refine our message that we're getting out to business owners and seniors about the threat that Obamacare poses. And John told me, he said, Rick, I'm listening to your radio ads. I've listened to your radio, parts of your radio show. I've seen your media advertising, your online advertising. I don't think you're being as clear about the threat that Obamacare poses to retirement savings. I'm 52. This is this media consultant talking to me, and he says, I don't get from your ads how Obamacare is a threat to my retirement savings. I said, John, let me tell you in a quick 2 minutes why this is a threat. It's a threat to your retirement savings because never before have seniors been exposed to the risk of a catastrophic medical expense since the passing of Obamacare. Prior to 2013, seniors, you'd almost never hear of seniors declaring bankruptcy because of catastrophic medical expense. And he said, well, why? I've got health insurance and seniors have Medicare. I said, let me tell you why. And most people aren't going to, you're not hearing this. Nobody's hearing this. Nobody's telling you seniors this. Obamacare is not an impact on your benefits. You still have Medicare benefits. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you still have usually the same benefits. Here's what's happening, like a cancer eating away at your healthcare choices. Written into the law is billions, 700 of them to be frank, billions of dollars in what are called Medicare reimbursement reductions. What this is the amount of money that the government is going to pay doctors and hospitals to treat you if you're a Medicare patient. Or it's the reimbursement rate that the government's going to pay the health insurance company to pay your doctor and hospital if you're a Medicare Advantage member. Well, with these Medicare reimbursement reductions, it reduces the amount that the health insurance company or the government is going to pay to your doctor or the hospitals that you might need to use in the future. It's a matter of economics. So as the years go by, the reductions get deeper, costs go up, but the Medicare reimbursement rates continue to go down, you're going to continue to see what's already started, doctors and hospitals stopping or ceasing, discontinuing to treat Medicare patients. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. All of my opponents, I don't even want to call them opponents, the folks that disagree with me, say that's never going to happen, okay? And I say, well, it's already happening because it's just a matter of economics. This is going to happen. You're going to start seeing doctors and hospitals being forced to slow down or stop seeing Medicare patients because of the economics. They're getting paid less to treat Medicare patients than it cost. So they're losing money to treat these folks. In fact, within 3 to 5 years, it's estimated that having Medicare is going to be the same as having Medi-Cal. So what happens, John, hear me now, because I want you to help me focus my message and crystallize my message. It's very simple, John. If a senior over the next 3 to 5 or 10 years, or when you and I are on Medicare, if we get terminally ill or we get really, really sick and the doctors and hospitals we want to use don't accept Medicare, what are we going to do? Die? No. We're going to liquidate every asset we have to try to stay alive because we're going to have to pay out of pocket to those doctors. It's never happened before in the history of the United States since the beginning of Medicare, but now it's going to start happening. Because what's going to happen is seniors are going to find that the doctors and hospitals that they need to keep them alive may or may not accept their Medicare, or their Medicare Advantage plan, and if it doesn't, and they want to still use that doctor or hospital, they're going to have to come out of pocket. So what I tell folks is, in the future, if you're going to be old, you're going to have access to cash to stay alive. And it doesn't necessarily have to be access to your cash. It can be access to it can be access to an insurance company's cash, but it sure as heck isn't going to be access to a health insurance company's cash. It's going to be access to a life insurance company's cash. So within 2 minutes, John completely understood. He said, Rick, I never heard any of this. I always assumed the risk to my retirement savings was a market crash or a volatile global economy. That's what I always, and he said to me, here's a marketing consultant. He said, Rick, people associate risk of financial loss to financial markets. They never associate risk of financial loss to medical expenses, especially if they're seniors, because they've never ever heard of that. And he said, it's changed a bit in the past 10 years because people are understanding now that a long-term care event, a stay in a nursing home, could bankrupt somebody. So they are beginning to slowly start associating loss of assets to a medical expense. But I've never, ever heard it in that context and linking it directly to Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. And he said, so where do annuities come into this? I said, John, I'm not a product pimper. Annuities come in to protect your assets from instead of mutual funds. We're marketing safety to these seniors. He said, oh, so explain to me what product. And I explained to him the product that I just explained to you in the last segment on this life insurance with living benefits. John is 52, and he asked me, he said, Rick, give me a proposal on one of these because I'd been looking for long-term care for my wife and I, and this is a perfect solution. So we've got solutions. I write about all of these in detail in my latest book. And my latest book is sold on Amazon.com. I think the hard copy is like $20 and the Kindle version's $8. But I want you, the listener, to get it for absolutely nothing. I want you to get it for free. So I want you to call me if you're listening either live or on the podcast. I want you to call me at 800-568-3817. Tell them you're a Safe Money Talk listener, and we will get my new book titled You're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat, How Obamacare Threatens Americans' Retirement Savings, and it's going to be crystal clear how this new law threatens your retirement nest egg. Just call me. Anytime you want, 800-568-3817. Tell the operator that you're a Safe Money Talk listener, and we'll get that right out to you. If you don't want to talk to an operator, if you don't want to call in, and you've got access to a computer and the internet, go to www.myobamacare.com and just enter your information. We'll get it right out to you absolutely free. That's You're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat. And I came up with that title. It's kind of interesting. For those of you that have seen the movie Jaws, there's a scene when Chief Brody sees the shark for the very first time. And for those of you that remember the movie Jaws, he backs up into the captain's cabin, and he's white as a ghost. He's got this look on his face that's just completely in shock. And he turns to Quint, the captain, and says, "You're going to need a bigger boat." And that's exactly how I felt in 2012 when the CPA that I had partnered with and a tax attorney, we did our homework and we broke down the Affordable Care Act to see how it was going to impact business owners and seniors. We all looked at each other with that same look that Quint had on his face after we saw all of the landmines in this bill for seniors on Medicare, business owners, and individuals and families like me that are responsible for their own health insurance. And the book that I wrote, I had to pick that title. That was the title that just came to mind when I was thinking of the title of the book. Is that, hey, if you're a senior out there, you're going to need a bigger boat. You need. I've seen the shark. I've seen how big it is. I've seen how bad it is. I've seen how many teeth it's got, and you're going to need a bigger boat than what you have now. Get that book. Call 1-800-568-3817, and I want to send it out to you absolutely free. I don't want you to have to buy it on Amazon.com. Just call me and I'll send it out to you because I think everybody needs to read that book. Then you'll be informed. You can make your own decisions. You'll at least know what you're up against. You'll at least know the tidal wave or the tsunami that's over the horizon about to hit you unless you're protected. So to kind of sum up what we've talked about so far, I wanted to do a annual review, but I didn't get to it. My title for tonight's show, I had it written down here, Sheep Get Slaughtered. That was an old old statement that an old gentleman I knew, one of my clients in Santa Barbara used to say all the time, sheep get slaughtered, sheep get slaughtered. And because he was big on protecting his money. Sheep get slaughtered. I don't want to be a sheep. One of the things that I do want to talk about before I wrap up this show is, I've got a few minutes. I do want to kind of pick on something because I hear a lot of it advertised. There is a movement right now. There's a movement to have a wealth tax. You've heard about it. I don't know if it'll come to pass. And a wealth tax is nothing more than the government is talking about taxing you every year on your net worth. Not on your income, on your net worth. So if you're worth $1 million, they're going to tax you based on the $1 million. In today's environment, if you're worth $1 million and you lose money, you don't pay any income tax. With a wealth tax, you pay regardless. You pay if you lose, you pay if you win. And there's a gigantic uproar over that. People are screaming. They want a mutiny if lawmakers pass that law. We don't want to live with a wealth tax. We like the income tax. If I lose money, I don't want to have to still pay tax on my net worth. But it's interesting because people have been paying their money manager that way for years. They've been paying a money manager 1.5% to 2% of their portfolio asset, whether they make money or lose money. The money manager's guaranteed to make money each and every year, regardless of what they make. So it's kind of a contradiction. They're up in uproar because the government wants to tax them based on their wealth, and yet they allow their money manager to make money even when they lose money or if they make money. And that's something that I think you're going to start seeing more and more people, especially if the market changes. People are going to start questioning. I told a lady just the other day, she said, well, Rick, thanks for the advice. I'll keep this in mind. But, my broker's done very, very well over the past 4 or 5 years, and I trust him, and he told me I'm diversified. I said, okay, that's great, Mabel, but I want you to understand something is my 12-year-old daughter, Ellie, could have done a good job advising you over the last 4 or 5 years. She would have just had to pick anything in the stock market, and any mutual fund you would have made money. But listen to me, dear. Listen, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been around 3 crashes. This will be my 4th. And I want to tell you what to do, okay? Number 1, I want you to keep my phone number, and I want you to keep my email address, because here's what you can expect in the next 18 months. You're going to go through the mall, and your advisor is going to be selling cell phones. And then you're going to call me crying because you'd lost 35 or 40% of your money, and you're going to ask me to help you get it back. And I'm not going to be able to do that. I will help you, but it will be after you have lost a half to a third of your money. Just keep that in mind, because I've seen it happen over and over and over again. Don't forget, you can get the book absolutely free. Just call us at 800-568-3817. Tell them you're a Safe Money Talk listener. I'll send out You're Going to Need a Bigger Boat, absolutely free. I'm going to do a quick commercial for Kcaa Random Act of Kindness. Kcaa is partnering up with Music Changing Lives, that's MCL, for their annual toy drive called Random Act of Kindness. And Music Changing Lives is looking to deliver gifts to over 5,000 impoverished children right here in the Inland Empire this year. The organization is mostly in need of gift items for teenagers. Okay, so anything you can come up with, MP3 players for teens. Typically, the teens are the ones that kind of get left out in these toy drives. Kcaa here is proud to announce that we are a drop-off location for the Random Act of Kindness program. We're located at 254 Carousel Mall in San Bernardino. Just please come on by and donate your gift and help us make Christmas special for over 5,000 children here in the Inland Empire. It's a great, great program. For more information, call Di Rice here at Kcaa at 909-885-8502. Carlos, we're just about done. We're wrapping it up. Just to kind of compile and wrap everything up, we talked about the 3 stages of wealth: accumulation, distribution, and transference. You don't do the same things that you do in your distribution stage as you did when you're accumulating it. And we talked about two products that you're going to want to learn more about: fixed index annuities, which get a bad rap undeservedly, and life insurance with living benefits, which would be an alternative to long-term care, critical illness, and cancer plans. Don't miss next week. We've got a lot of information for business owners next week. For those of you that are going to celebrate Thanksgiving, have a very safe and happy Thanksgiving. Don't forget to tell all your friends about the show. You can hear us on the podcast at kcaaradio.com. This is Rick Lewag signing off, telling everybody, see you next week and happy Thanksgiving.
You're listening to the Inland Talk Express, 1050 AM and 106.5 FM, KCAA Loma Linda.
California headline news: more than half the governors in the country insisting they won't accept any more Syrian refugees, but that feeling not being shared in Sacramento by Governor Brown. His chief aide, Nancy McFadden, telling a Public Policy Institute luncheon that the governor has asked the feds to assure states that proper vetting is being done and to keep the states in the loop about any resettlement plans.
He made this very point that we need to know what you're doing, not just your line of communication shouldn't just be with NGOs. It should also be with state government. We should know what you're doing.
CAL FIRE about to hire forestry aides and seasonal firefighters for next year's fire season.
So we actually start our seasonal firefighter application process kind of early. So final filing date on this job is January 31st. So you got a little bit of time, but you need to get your applications into the units that you would like to work in.
That's CAL FIRE spokeswoman Lynn Tolmachal. Full House actor John Stamos dodging jail time for a DUI in Beverly Hills. Geico weather rainy in San Francisco. John Gilliland, California News.
Geico presents 15 Things to See and Do in California. The Redwood National and State Parks are located along the coast of Northern California. Most recognize that these parks are home to the tallest trees on Earth, but the parks also protect vast prairies, woodlands, riverways, and miles of pristine coastline for our enjoyment. That's one of 15 Things to See and Do in California, brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Call 1-800-947-AUTO or visit geico.com.
Hey-ho, Bigfoot here. You know, mythical creature from the woods. Today I saw something I couldn't believe existed. The new Honda Pioneer 1000. Whoa, man, it's a beast with a best-in-class 999cc engine and the industry's only 6-speed, fully automatic dual-clutch transmission. This thing's real, it's big, and it's here. Check it out at pioneer1000.honda.com.
Pioneers are for drivers 16 years and older. For your safety, read the owner's manual. Wear a helmet and eye protection. Always wear your seatbelt and keep the side nets and doors closed.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Keith Langlots. For tonight, mostly clear, the low 43. Veterans Day, sunny, the high 70. Wednesday night, clear, the low 46. Thursday, sunny, the high 75. Thursday night, clear, the low 50. Friday, sunny and a high 79. Friday night, clear, the low 52. Saturday, we start the weekend, sunny and a high 78. Saturday night, we'll have clear skies, the low 50. Sunday, sunny and a high 77. That's your weather forecast for this hour. From the station that leaves no listener behind, NBC News Radio, AM 1050 KCAA.
Imagine that you're among the 4 out of 5 people who received help paying for quality health coverage through Covered California at the lowest possible cost. Imagine seeing a doctor for everyday aches and pains, unexpected emergencies, and preventative care. Imagine receiving help finding a health plan that's absolutely right for you and your family. Imagine not having to imagine.
Covered California. It's more than just health care. It's life care. Visit CoveredCA.com to find free, local, in-person help or enroll online by December 15th to have coverage by January 1st.
This is 1050 AM, KCAA Loma Linda, and KCAA FM Yucaipa, 106.5 FM.
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Take a walk on the wild side.
Anyway, you're listening to Smart Health Talk. I'm your host, Elaine McFadden, just in case you didn't get that before. And we were just talking about your health and what it means to be healthy, what it means to have an ideal weight, to be energetic, and reducing your risk of the kind of diseases that kill you. And a lot of people don't